Hey, Shalom Akim. First foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rachak Kodash. Double honors under the elders of Paul's Great Millstone, the elders' Great Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings on the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, servant Meshut and sincerity. Yes, on the brother Chayabla from GMS Plain Devil's Camp. Come back with another lesson to his spirit. Yes, so this lesson be based off of this article from nationalnews.com, which is entitled, it says, Pentagon declassifies thousands of UFO files in historic transparency push. Hey, ultimately, Esau has been making his tongue fall upon himself, as the scriptures say, meaning, he's literally been revealing himself. Of course, with the island guy, basically, his files getting released. Which, again, whatever Esau releases, it's a highly, redacted version of what is really going on. They only show, again, the public what they, want to show. But, again, as the scriptures say, his tongue is going to fall upon himself. So, he is being marked, Esau. And, of course, Esau, according to the scriptures, being the so-called white man. We know that his strong with the elite international banking families, of course, the richest upon the planet Earth. Basically all small hat people, super rich small hat people. Ultimately, again, that's prophecy, that their tongue will fall upon themselves and that they be revealed. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and 8. So it says, to read a little bit of the article. The U.S. Department of War has declassified and released a huge collection of documents, videos, and reports about UFOs, now called the AP. This includes decades of material from the FBI, NASA, and military sources, described as a historic transparency effort to give the public direct access to formerly secret information. So it says the files include reports from Apollo moon missions. We know that's fake. It says Buzz Aldrin, Apollo 11, saw flashes in a cabin and a bright light he thought might be a laser. Astronauts in Apollo 12 and 17 also described mysterious lights, with one saying it looked like the 4th of July. And while some incidents were debunked, like a 1948 sighting later explained as a rocket-assisted jet, many others have no clear conclusion. For example, a 1965 Gemini 7 astronaut, going down, it says the collection includes reports from 2020 to the present. One redacted 2023 report describes a drone operator seeing a metallic wingless object with a super bright light that vanished in seconds. Some details were blacked out to protect witness identities in sensitive military locations. The release is part of a larger, it says, interagency effort called Pursue, ordered by President Donald Trump. While officials promise more follow soon, they admit most materials have not been fully analyzed. No official government interpretation of the UAP phenomenon was provided, leaving the public to draw their own conclusions. So there you have it. And again, at this point, things are coming up. And to get real quick, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8, it says, And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume the spear of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So the wicked, you see the capital W, so it's referring unto somebody in particular. And of course, that's Esau. Again, Esau Edom. As the scriptures say, the earth has been given into his hands. The earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. Job chapter 9 and 24. So we know Esau is in rulership. Again, when you look at the top person, or the top race on the planet Earth right now, as a whole, again, the so-called white man, they're at the top. And it goes back onto their blessing that Isaac gave onto Esau, saying that he's going to have to do with heaven, the fatness of the earth, meaning the riches and resources of the earth. He's going to have it. And how he's going to have the blessing of the sword, which is to rule over the sword, or rule over the world with the sword. So without a doubt, Esau, of course, has that blessing. The modern day sword, of course, is the military, his military. And basically his weapons. It says, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and 9, even him whose coming is after working of saying with all power and signs and lying wonders. Yeah. And Esau, obviously, one of his other gifts is deception. And we can clearly see that. Why? Because he's after the working of Satan. Starting with the elite international banking families on down. Again, they have that blessing of deception. And, basically pushing out, again, their whole agenda is to deceive and get the people into thinking what they, how they want to. Which, again, is after the ways of Satan. That's why you see how, again, the whole world is perverse. And again, it clearly keeps on getting worse. The philosophies, the ideologies that are pushed out, the big ones, the alphabet, lifestyle. And then, just going down a list. Again, that's, of course, Esau pushing out his doctrine. Zechariah 5:1. It says, then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, the flying roll. So this is Zechariah seeing a flying object, a flying roll, as he described. It says, and he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. So this is Zechariah, of course, seeing, a so-called UFO or UAP. Which, what are the what are the UFOs, so-called UFOs and UAPs? They are the chariots of the Lord. Because again, we can get many scriptures as a brought out one, but what goes into the appearance of the UFOs, the so-called UFOs, which again are the chariots of the Lord. The scriptures say how the chariots of the Lord are 20,000. Keep on reading Zechariah chapter 5 and 3. It says, then he said unto me, this is a curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth should be cut off on this side according to it. And everyone that sweareth should be cut off as on that side according to it. Yeah, you can go into basically the power, the energy output that these chariots are able to emit. Which is violent, concentrated, fire. You can get into it in 2 Corinthians chapter 13, where it goes into flaming breath, fire mixed with tempest, basically paraphrasing. Again, you combine all that together, you'll get a so-called laser. So that's exactly what the chariots are going to be emitting. We can go into it. It says how it's going to be vaporizing those who try to come up, of course, against the Lord and against the chariots, which it describes basically to be, which are going to be these different militaries that try to take down Yahushua and try to take down the chariots. That's what it goes into. The militaries, of course, fighting against or trying to fight against Yahushua and the chariots, because they won't be able to do nothing, but yet they durst fight, meaning they're going to even continue to fight because the Lord is going to put the Spirit upon them to fight. Why? So His power so the Lord can show His power, and they can be. Because, hey, again, it's going to be a one-sided battle. It's not going to be any chariots getting taken down it's going to be 100% one-sided battle with these militaries being destroyed and these other nations. These other nations being taken down from the rulership, and the Israelites being set over these other nations. These other nations being set, of course, as slaves. That's what the scriptures prophesy. So, going on an article, it says, no official government interpretation of the UAP phenomenon was provided, leaving the public to draw their own conclusions. Yeah, they know exactly what these are. Because again, you go into the scriptures, they literally describe, the same exact description, of how they describe a so-called UFO or UAP. So it says, and what officials are calling a landmark step toward government openness, the U.S. Department of War has declassified and released a massive trove of documents relating to unidentified flying objects, now officially referred to as unidentified anomalous phenomena. The release, published on a dedicated page on the website of the DOW, contains hundreds of documents, videos, intelligence reports, and witness accounts spanning decades. Yeah, and again, that's only what they want to come out. You can just look it up. Pentagon declassifies thousands of UFO files, and you can get more info on it. But again, this isn't new for us. We know, again, exactly what Esau has been hiding. And anyways, it's not even, we don't even have to see the evidence because we know exactly what these objects are. It says Ezekiel 1:4. It says, and I looked, and it says, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, and a great cloud, and a fire unfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as a color of amber, and out of the midst of the fire. So this is also Ezekiel seeing a so-called UFO. A circular object, a whirlwind. It says a great cloud. Scriptures also describe the chariots as a great cloud. Again, whirlwind. It says, and a fire unfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as a color of amber, and out of the midst of the fire. So there you have it. Skipping down. It says verse 16. It says verse 10, as for the likeness of their faces, they four had the face of a man. It says, in the face of a lion on the right side, and they four had the face of an ox on the left side, and they four also had the face of an eagle. Yeah, and when you go, when you basically read the description of this, is going into the angels, and yeah, the angels are able to they're able to come in whatever appearance that they want to. Of course, however the Lord wants them to come as and appear, that's how they're going to appear. It says, verse 11, thus were their faces and their wings stretched upward. Two wings of every one were joined one to another, and it says, and two covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward. Whether the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. It says, as for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps, and went up and down among the living creatures. And the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures, with his four faces. So this is the angels again, basically piloting the so-called UFO. It describes a wheel, wheel being a circular object, obviously. But again, the prophets use the best terms that they had back then to describe what they were seeing. Now obviously we have different modern terms, but again, the prophets use the best terms that they had back then to describe it. It says, verse 16, the appearance of the wheels and the work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel and in the middle of a wheel. Yeah, so when you look at so-called UFO, and again, they can come in whatever appearance, but usually it's a circular object. And Ezekiel was seeing what? It says a wheel in the middle of a wheel. So basically, inner circular object around basically, an outer circular object, those basically put together. And, you can see, again, so-called UFOs that have been snapped, that you saw has released or again, just going down the description. Also, what we just read, how it's a bright object, orb, a bright orb. What it says as color of amber, and what Ezekiel said, how there's a brightness about it. So there you have it. So again, we know exactly what these are. And I only brought out 2 scriptures. There's more scriptures that go into the so-called appearance, to the appearance of a so-called UFO. But the point is that we know exactly what these are. They are the chariots of the Lord. And ultimately, these are going to be the vehicles of our deliverance. You can go into how, what is the scriptures say, how, we're going to be called up. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5. Also in Revelation, it says how Yahushua is going to say, come up thither. So that, we need to take part of the plagues of Babylon Great, which is going to be the nuclear destruction, the nuclear missiles that are shot upon it. Yahushua, of course, going to send out the chariots to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel. So these are going to be the vehicles of our salvation. Again, the elect being beamed up. But, they call it a tractor beam. And, that's how we're going to be saved. I'm saying us because we're part of the hopeful elect, Yahweh desire that we're a part of it. For us brothers, sincere brothers within the truth, few sisters out there serving Yahweh Bashim Yashai. So those brothers out there edified, Yahweh Bashim Yashai, Bashim Kakurash Pakathum, Shalom.